We're talking about drugs in Oregon and the new law that allows people to buy drugs that have in the past been illegal. Do most of you think it was a good idea to pass that law?
I would say that for me, in my opinion, I am supportive of the intent behind Measure 110, which was to help people who are drug abusers and sending them to recovery, which I think is really well-meaning. However, in the execution of the whole project, the government, you could say, put the cart before the horse, and they passed this law before they had the backup, like detox centers and rehabilitation centers, where they could send people.
Anybody know anybody who's ever been to one of these detox centers?
Yeah.
One of the few that there are, apparently, that exist so far. Anybody know anyone? How did it go for them, Isaiah?
It's actually my uncle. It's rough for him. He'll go in and out, but he always ends up back on the streets.
That seems to be what happens with people who begin the...
I feel like sometimes they might not give enough help that the people need, and they just keep going back to it.
Well, maybe that's what you were saying, Hadley. Maybe they just weren't ready with the proper treatments for people who were being supposed to be helped. But do you think it was a good idea to try to make some money to raise funds so that they could set up treatment centers?
I do think it was a good idea, but like Hadley said, I don't think they were like fully ready to build those when they had placed the law.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea, but you can't just get money off of these drugs if you're not actually going to have good rehabilitation centers or any systems in place or any infrastructure in place to help these people. Yeah, you can pass the law, you can get the money, but what are you going to do with the money is the question.
Adding on, I think that with the money, it's being just divided between the few detox centers that we have, and there's no system, and like there's no, they aren't working together to a bigger goal, and they're kind of just spending it in willy-nilly ways.
Well, so as a result of this Proposition 110, do you see more drug use? Do you think you see more people high on drugs around the streets?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
So you think that it really is not working? That's your opinion?
Yeah.
So I started to ask you before, well, what age do you think most kids start using drugs, seriously using drugs?
I think they start in middle school, but then in high school, you definitely see a lot more. I don't know, if nearby Jesuit High School, that whole street, it's just filled with vape shops, weed shops. So I feel like it's also being targeted towards kids as well. So when you have a high school and then right all around the high school is a bunch of places where you can get different types of drugs, you're obviously going to see increase in drug use within kids, right? So I think it's happening in middle school, but it's actually like being more popularized in high schools.
So which is the drug of choice, do you think, for high school and middle school kids?
Marijuana.
Marijuana.
Yeah.
And that's pretty easy to get.
Vapes especially are targeted towards kids because they have all these flavors and all these things that like the manufacturers think that kids want, so they specifically target kids because that's
And do you think parents thought that the vaping was not a bad thing? That vaping was okay, so kids were doing it even at home?
I don't think I feel like parents saying you can't do this isn't really going to stop the kid from doing it. Like, yeah, obviously, I feel like the parents are saying, yeah, they're discouraging it, but that doesn't mean the kids aren't going to do it. The kids are still going to go behind their parents' backs and do it without their parents knowing.
Yeah, I feel like when a parent tells you can't do something, it makes you want to do it more.
Yeah.
And I feel like the stricter the parent, the more sneakier the kid is.
That's weird.
I've heard from my friends that some parents let them vape just because the parents think that it's not as bad as the other drugs. So if their kid's vaping and they're not doing the other drugs, then they feel like that's better. So they let their kids do it, which I've heard from my friends.
Well, when it first came out, vaping a few years ago, was it a serious drug? Or was it just like a menthol or something like that?
It was advertised as better than smoking, but that's very misleading because
Yeah, it has way more nicotine than people would think it would. That's why I don't think parents should be allowing their kids to do it, because it's just targeting their lungs.
What drugs do you think should be legalized, if any?
Well, I say the one that's legalized right now, which is marijuana. It's often used as a medicinal resource and can actually help people who need it. I don't think it has that big of an effect, but I do know that, like, for people that are my age and still like growing, our brains aren't fully developed yet. So using that drug is going to stop that development. And I don't really want to encourage it, but I mean, people are going to do what they want to do regardless. But it's just, it's going to slow you down. So you're not going to be able to do those things that you need to do at school to be successful.
Are there people out there to help you? Do you know who they are to help kids who have gotten into drugs? Where to turn?
That's part of the problem is here. There needs to be more places. There needs to be more centers and rehabilitations and detox centers.
Kind of disagree with that. For kids, I don't think they should be sent to rehabilitation centers, because there's a lot of adults around them that are there to help them, and they just don't see it.
What about more education? Should there be classes in school to start educating kids before they get to middle school about drugs?
There is a class. Yeah, it's just nobody listens is the problem. They have it at the start of every other day. We have something called AT, and they teach like mental health type things and staying away from drugs and things like that. No one's listening.
No.
Yeah.
Well, how could we make that change? How could you make people, could they be tested? Could they have to take a state test? And I don't mean a test to see if they're using drugs, but to see if they know all the answers, if the education is working.
I feel like the answers are obvious. So like just don't, like they're pretty obvious. Like don't do drugs, stay away from things like that. But that's not going to stop people from actually doing it, because they know all the right answers. They just choose to ignore them.
Do you feel that legalizing drugs makes it really more appetizing to those people who might be interested in taking them?
I think that's the difference, legalization versus decriminalization. Legalization is just allowing it, it's legal, right? Decriminalization is it's not legal. You can do it, but you won't be criminalized for it. You'll have like civil penalties such as fining or like sent to rehab. What Oregon is doing is legalizing, right? So we can't, when legalizing it, we're encouraging it. We don't want to do that. We want to decriminalize it, which means it's still looked down upon, and we also are getting help for the people that are doing it. So that's the key issue that's happening, legalization versus decriminalization.
Really good point. Agree with that, Kara?
Yeah, I think adding on to the education thing, not only should the government be funding rehabilitation centers, but they should also put more money into education programs and preventative education, so that people don't get into that in the first place.
So you think every student in high school should have to take a preventative class? Yeah. It's a good idea. Isaiah, what do you think?
I think they all have good points in that we are educated, and like he said, we just don't listen. So it's kind of like...
So they're trying. They're trying to teach kids, but many are not listening.
Yeah.
All right, do you agree with that, Max?
Yeah, I've some people, if you try to help some people, they might not even want your help because they don't care what the drugs do to their body, because they're already depressed, and they could be suicidal. So even if you try to help them and educate them, they still might not even care, because they don't care what happens to them.
Do you think that kids are willing to go to their parents to talk about it, or do parents bring it up with their kids on a regular basis, do you think?
Parents bring it up with their kids on a regular basis.
Yeah, so your parents have had a talk with you about what not to do.
Yeah,
and your coaches too, obviously.
To add on to the class part where they're having a class or whatever, I don't think telling the kids or in schools to not do drugs is going to help anything. It's more of restricting how they're going to access these drugs is a better idea, because you can't give it the option to kids. Some kids are probably going to choose the bad options because we're still growing, we're still in high school, we're still making mistakes. So instead of teaching stop doing drugs, which everybody knows it's the obvious answer. Restrict how they're going to access it instead, because that's a better idea, because then they won't even have the option to even try these drugs.
Yeah.
Good point.
Feeding off of what he's saying, I think that they should highlight the consequences that come with drugs. You know, there's death. And then also fitting into like the homeless issue. I'm not saying that all homeless people are on drugs or whatever, but usually there's something going on mentally with that person, and then they, you know, tend to the drugs. So like it's always this cause and effect type of thing that goes on. And it's just a cycle. So like being located in Oregon and then seeing all these homeless people just tripping out on drugs and just doing a whole bunch of random stuff should be a big message to show you where you can end up.
And the numbers of homeless, do you think that that has a lot to do with the drugs in the state?
Yeah. Going off of what Jada was saying, that when houseless people are doing drugs or when they are not in a stable mental state, it's hard for them to know what they're doing is negatively affecting their body, and they're not even, and sometimes not even in the right state to ask for help. And that's what is happening, is that when we're legalizing drugs, the point is to get more people help, but that's tricky, because if you're going to legalize it, there's a lot of steps to make sure legalizing is still safe and still has the impact that you want, and there aren't loopholes.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the law? Should it be changed back? Should people be sent to jail for using drugs that were once illegal? Vote on this?
I really appreciate his distinction between decriminalization and legalization, and it's just something that really like kind of opened my eyes to see the difference as well. And I do think that the law needs a little bit more tweaking and adjustment.
Yeah.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Everybody agree? Wow, well, we're ending this panel in a good way. We all seem to be thinking the same way, and I am so grateful that you all joined us to talk about this, because this is something people are talking about all over the country. Is it working in Oregon? Would it work anywhere else? So thank you. This has been a great panel. Our panel has given us some important insights into the issue of drug legalization. Ideally, the plan was that Oregon would have programs in place to help those people on their journey to live healthier lives. Observers say we have yet to see this outcome realized.